Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become nice and comfortable in a seated position where the back of our spine can sit nice and tall and long, connecting to the back of our neck, keeping that nice and long, opening up our chest, opening up our diaphragm, and opening up our heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale, and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or a phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about. Oh, here comes Oscar for his cameo. Oh, I think he's going to stay. So anyway, this morning's intention I'd like to talk about is thriving versus surviving in the new year. There he goes. So an important part of that is just showing up. For me, it's showing up on my mat as regularly as I can make it. There is a Sanskrit term called Abhyasa, which means diligent practice. And Barrie Risman, who's a yogi out of Canada, I get her newsletter each week, and she had one that I thought summed it up really beautifully. And I'll do an excerpt from that newsletter. Abhyasa is the foundational principle in yoga that emphasizes continued practice done over a long period of time with dedication. It's the most fundamental way yoga works and the prerequisite for all the other ways we wish for our practice to serve us. Making daily, sometimes small, deposits into the bank account of your well-being adds up over time to keep you feeling good and hopefully able to do everything you need, want, and love to do for the rest of your life. So you all are doing exactly that, the Abhyasa, that diligent practice, and I hope you've seen rewards from it over the years. So for the pranayama today, breathing technique, breathing fully is a diligent practice, an Abhyasa. So learning to breathe fully is about thriving, not just surviving. In fact, I'm going to take a note here. I just ordered, and it's been a New York Times bestseller for a long time, but I just ordered the book called Breathe by James Nestor. And it's supposed to be very enlightening, and I will share that with you once I get it and start reading it. But for today, the basic yogi breath is the Dirga, the 3-part or complete breath, is breathes the life force of prana into you. So we've done this many a time, visualizing and feeling our inhale coming from our stomach area and inflating our stomach, and then having that breath rise up through our ribs, inflating our ribs, and then up to our chest, inflating our chest. So it's a 3-part and complete from the bottom all the way up to the top breath. So you can visualize it like a wave of water rolling onto the beach from your stomach up to your ribs and up to your chest. And then for the exhale, you're just going to reverse that and have that flow away from your chest, flow away from your ribs, and flow away from your stomach, having your stomach deflate. And then you can just visualize that wave kind of rolling back to the sea. So let's go to our meditation practice and practice that Dirga breath. You can close your eyes. And if you want to visualize that wave to help you do the complete 3-part breath, do so. Or hopefully by now it's almost second nature for you, and that is part of your daily breath, not just your yogi breath. So I'm going to go to the mat and let's do a few moments of meditation using the Dirga breath. Okay, you can go back to your natural breath, which should still be 3-part. And we'll begin our asana practice. We'll start this morning with some shoulder shrugs, just to kind of loosen up that area, relieve any tension that you may feel up in that area, but also be doing planks and downward dog. So it's helpful just to kind of get things loosened up, kind of like think of the Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man having his joints oiled, and that helped him to kind of skip and dance down the yellow brick road a lot better. So just relax and roll your shoulders up and back, and you can reverse directions. Alrighty, and we'll place our fingertips by the side and do a few sun breaths. So inhale deeply from our stomach all the way up to our chest, and then exhale from our chest down, deflating our stomach. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. And inhale up. And when we reach the top, bring our palms together and bring our palms to heart center. And then open up our palms, rolling back our shoulders nice and gently, bringing our hands as far back as what is comfortable for you, opening up our chest. And then bringing our hands back together. Inhale up. And exhale down, and just let your fingers kind of float down. There's a gentle floating snow going on outside right now. It's just ever so slightly coming down. So you just kind of pretend your fingers are part of the snowflakes. So we'll do that a couple more times. So inhale up. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, opening up your hands. Nice big inhale, and then exhale. Inhale up. And then gently float those snowflakes back down to the mat. And one last time, inhale up. And exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, open up. Nice big inhale. And exhale, close your hands. Inhale up. And then float your hands, float those snowflakes back down. Now, whichever leg you have crossed and is on the outer part, bring that up, the knee up, so that's facing up to the sky, and wrap our arm around it and bring the opposite hand in back of our hips and gently twist to open up to the side. So I'm opening up to the right. And then come back to center, switch legs. Bring that other knee up so it's pointing up to the sky. Wrap your arm around it, and then send the opposite hand back of your hips onto the mat, twisting your torso to the side. And then bring your torso back, and we're going to roll down. You can keep your knees bent or knees straight, or do the express method, whichever you prefer today. I'm going to just have my legs extended, rolling slowly back, and then bring my knees up to my chest. And give my knees a nice gentle hug. And we're going to flex both feet. And throughout this next sequence, which is 3 poses, we're going to really keep mindful of keeping our feet flexed. So with our toes pointing up to the sky, we're going to wrap our hands, interlaced fingers around our left knee, and extend our right leg down to the bottom of the mat. And land your heel on the bottom of the mat, and both toes remaining flexed. So feel that energy in your right leg, your right thigh, your right calf. And then we're going to keeping your feet flexed again. We're going to place the left heel on top of the right leg, just above the knee. And we're going to take the right, or left knee rather, and bring it down to the right side of the mat. Just kind of a seated twist. But again, be mindful of keeping your feet flexed the whole time. And then the next thing we're going to do is just take that left knee and swing it all the way over to the left, keeping your heel right where it is on your right leg. So our legs open up to the figure four. And again, our feet are flexed, feeling that energy throughout the legs. And then lifting the right knee up toward the sky, we're going to come into reclined pigeon pose. So you can stay here. Left toes are flexed up to the sky, or you can lift your right leg up, flexing the toes, interlacing the hands behind the thigh and guiding that right leg toward your chest. All the while keeping your toes flexed. And then just kind of breathe into that pose. Inhale, inviting that pose into your body. And exhale, sending nourishing breath to any tension you may feel. Then we'll release that, bring both knees to the chest, give them a nice hug again, and we'll do that on the other side. So with our toes flexed up to the sky, interlace our hands around our right knee and send our left foot down to the bottom of the mat, keeping both toes flexed up to the sky, really feeling that energy in the left leg now. And then we'll place the right heel on the left leg right above the knee, keeping our feet flexed. We'll guide that right leg, the right knee, to the left side of the mat. Have a nice gentle twist. Again, keeping your feet flexed. I just released my feet. I gotta, oh, no, remembering to keep them flexed. You feel that energy throughout your legs. And then we'll guide that right knee all the way over to the right, keeping the heel exactly where it is on the left leg. Opening up to figure four, toes are flexed. Then bringing the left leg up. And you could stay here, keeping that right knee guided toward the right side of the mat. Right toes are flexed up to the sky. Or lift your left leg up. Interlace your fingers behind the thigh, keeping both toes flexed. And take a few deep inhales and exhales here. And then we'll release both legs, bringing knees to the chest, give them a nice gentle hug. And then we're gonna roll all the way up. So you can tuck your hands underneath the backs of your knees and just kind of roll. Maybe take a couple of rolls, bring yourself up to a seated position. And once you reach the seated position, you can lean over, placing your hands on the mat and come into a tabletop position. And with tabletop, we have our wrist right below our shoulders. Fingers are spread out, gripping the mat. Knees are right below our hip bones. Navel's tucked to our spine. And that navel tucked to our spine is going to be important when we get into a later sequence. We're going to try to maintain that just as we maintain that flexed foot in that first round. So now that we're in tabletop, let's just gently send our gaze straight down, trying to create a nice long spine and back of our neck. And we'll turn our head to the right, Just kind of pivot it to the right and then bring it back to center. Then inhale, pivot the head to the left, nice and gently, and back to center. And we'll do that a few times. Back to center. And if you bring pressure to your hands, kind of pushing down, you're going to keep that space between your shoulders and your ears. And that'll make these head turns a lot easier and a lot more effective. Just a few more head turns back and forth. And then come back to tabletop and we'll do some cat-cow. So we're gonna round our back on the exhale, sending our gaze up to our navel. So that will create our gaze down, creating a chin to chest movement. And then up to cow, we're gonna send our gaze up and send it straight ahead. So again, back to cat, rounding our back, exhaling, sending our gaze up to our navel, and then back to cow, sending our gaze straight ahead, right in front of you, and then back to cat. We'll do a few more of these, just nice and gentle, slow, deep inhale, and deep exhale. Exhale for cat. That tummy kind of comes in, and inhale for cow. Then tummy expands as a natural movement. And come back to tabletop and bringing your knees together so they're touching. We'll go into bird dog. Again, do a check on your hands, making sure that your weight's evenly distributed and you're gently pushing down. We'll lift our right leg up to hip height. Have it straight behind you. And then lift your left arm up. And your left arm should be alongside of your ear. And your back of your spine and neck, nice straight line. And then inhale, pointing your toes. Exhale, flex. Inhale, point. 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 Exhale, flex, and bring that back down. We'll do that on the other side. Again, check that in your hands and your arms. Lift your left leg up, hip height. Make sure you're evenly distributed. And then bring your right arm up alongside your ear. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. 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 And bring both hand and leg back down. And then we'll send our hips down to our ankles, come into child's pose. So stretch your arms out nice and long in front of you. And just bringing your forehead, your third eye down to the mat. And just feel that stretch in your arms, your back. And then coming back up to tabletop, we'll tuck our toes under and walk our hands back so that we're on the balls of our toes. And then pushing down into our feet, we'll rise up to mountain pose. For mountain pose, we'll also do the, we'll get there in a minute. The essentials of good posture. But first, let's just bring our toes up off the mat and spread our toes as wide as we can. And then bring them down to the mat, lifting our heels up off the mat. And then bringing our heels back down to the mat. And just feel that secure grounding that we have in mountain pose. And then our essentials of good posture. Our legs are nice and straight and strong with a soft, gentle bend in our knee. Navel's tucked to the spine. That immediately straightens out my spine, lifting my chest, rolling my shoulders back gently, opening up my chest. My chin is a little bit tucked toward my chest, as opposed to being jutted out, creating that nice, long, straight line between the back of my neck and my spine. Crown of my head reaches up to the sky. Then we'll take a deep inhale, sweeping hands up overhead. And exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go, support our lower back. Just let your body check in this morning. And then inhale, lifting our hands to our shins, flattening out the back, flattening out, straightening out back of the neck. Gaze is down. And then send the crown of your head down toward the mat. And let gravity take over and just hang here, hang out for a moment. We take a few deep breaths. And then sweeping your hands all the way up overhead. We're going to lift our hands up overhead and come up onto our tippy toes. And then slowly, like that gentle snowfall that's going on outside, bring our arms down and bring our heels back down to the mat. We'll do that a couple times. Nice, gentle control, sweeping up and coming up onto your tippy toes as your arms go up. And then gently floating your arms back down, floating your heels back down to the mat. And one more time, bringing your hands all the way up. See how high up on your tippy toes you can get. And then gently floating back down. And once your heels hit the mat, we're going to bend our knees and go all the way down to the floor, to the mat. Then inhale, bringing our hands to our shins, flattening out the back, sending the gaze down. And then sending the crown of the head down toward the mat. Just hang here for a moment. And sweep your hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. And we'll do a few side stretches. So bringing your right hand down to your right thigh, sliding it down toward your right knee, creating that nice crescent shape in your upper body. And then back up again. And bringing the left hand down to the left thigh, sliding it gently down toward your knee. Nice, slow, controlled movements. Slowly bringing it back up again. One more time on each side. Right hand comes down, sliding it down toward the right knee. And then come back up again. And bringing your left hand down, sliding it slowly down, keeping your torso upright and straight. Then bringing your hands back up above your head. We'll come back down to the mat with our hands, bending our knees as we go. And inhale, hands to your shins, flattening out your back, flattening out or lengthening the spine and the back of the neck. And then setting the crown of the head down toward the mat. And sweeping our hands all the way up overhead again. This time, they don't have to come together, come about shoulder width apart. We're gonna do a few chair poses. So we're gonna bend our knees, lowering our hips down toward our ankles, keeping our arms as high up as is comfortable, and just tucking your navel to the spine. This is important here. And not having your knees extend beyond your big toes. So we'll lift up. We'll do 2 more of those. Actually, you bring your arms down just to rest for a minute and sweep them back up again. That might feel better. Sweeping your hands up, shoulder width apart, knees bend, hips come down toward your ankles, tucking your navel toward your spine. Keep knees not extending beyond your big toe. And then coming back up, pushing into your feet to do so. We'll bring our hands back down. And then inhale 1 more time. Back up. And 1 last time, we're gonna lower our hips toward our ankles, going into chair pose. Navel's tucked to our spine. And then back up again. 1 last time, all the way down to the mat with our hands, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, halfway up, half forward fold, hands are on our shins. Flat back, and then crown of our head drops down toward the mat. And then sending our hands all the way up again with a big inhale. Hands come together. Hands come to heart center, and then hands come to the back of our hips. We'll do a supported back bend. So our feet are about hip width apart. Palms are on our hands are on our hips. Fingertips pointing down. Shoulders are really relaxed. Navel, you can tuck your navel to your spine, but I was going to tuck my chin toward my chest. And then drop the shoulders back, keeping the gaze forward, not up. You don't want to drop your head back. And just come to the part where that sweet spot that you can feel the nice even flow of your breath. And then come back up to mountain pose. Alrighty, moving right along. So sweeping our hands up overhead. And then we're going to come into chair pose again. So we're going to keep our feet hip width apart, navel's tucked to the spine, lowering our hips toward our ankles, arms are up. And then we're going to drop our hands to the mat. Straightening our legs, bring our hands to our shins, half forward fold. And then hands down to the mat and extend both feet to the back of the mat, coming into plank pose. Plank pose, our wrists are right below our shoulders. Fingers are gripping the mat, fingers are spread wide apart. Navel's tucked to the spine, elevating our hips slightly so that they're not saggy tummy. Heels are pushing to the back of the mat. And slowly come down either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows tucked to your side. Come all the way down. And then we're gonna lift our chin and our chest and our hands off the mat for baby cobra. And then hands go back down on the mat, keeping your elbows tucked to your side. Tuck your toes under, and you're gonna lift your hips all the way up to downward dog. And we'll pedal out here for a few moments. Downward dog, our fingers are spread apart, index finger pointing to the top of the mat. Arms are nice and straight and strong. Chest is reaching toward our thighs, which will elevate our hips. Legs are nice and strong, keeping gentle bend, or if you're pedaling, keeping that bend in your knees. We'll just walk our dog here for a moment. Okay, and then we're going to take our left knee and bring it to our left elbow. So pushing off with our right toes, bring that left knee to the left elbow. And then back again, keeping our navel tucked to our spine as we do so. Pedal out. And then we'll do that again. So left knee comes to the left elbow, pushing off with your right foot. And then back again to downward dog and pedal out. And then we're gonna bring our left foot all the way up between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. So inhale, lifting your left foot up, coming all the way up, and you can guide it up between your hands. Coming into runner's lunge. And then we're gonna pivot our back foot down, pushing down into our front foot, coming into warrior one. So warrior one, you have the lunge, your knee over your ankle, your back foot's nice and snug in the mat. You can have your chest facing the corner of the mat, or if you feel that you are able to flex without causing too much tension, you can twist and have your torso facing the top of the mat. And lifting your arms up, creating a gentle, soft back bend. And then bringing your hands all the way down to the mat, back to runner's lunge. And then sending your left foot back to meet your right foot, coming back into plank. And once you're in plank, navel's tucked to the spine, keeping your elbows tucked in. We're gonna lower down, chaturanga, or knees, chest, chin. And this time we keep our hands on the mat, elbows tucked in, lifting our chin and our chest, then gently pushing down, coming up into cobra. And then tucking our toes under, lifting our hips up to downward dog, and pedal out here for a few moments. And our chest is reaching toward our thighs. Hips are elevated up. Nice, gentle pedaling going on. And then we're going to bring our left foot all the way up into three-legged dog. So lifting your left foot up to the sky. And then once you're up there, you're going to bring that left foot all the way up to our hands, coming back into runner's lunge. So you can bend your knee, bringing it from three-legged dog all the way to runner's lunge. And then we're going to pivot our back foot down, and this time come into warrior two. So we're just lift our arms up and sweep them open so that we're in warrior two. Left hand's facing the front of the mat. Our left leg, knee is over the left ankle. You just see our big toe. Chest is open to the long side of the mat. Our back hand is over our back foot, which is nice and snug in the mat. Gently turning your head to look at your left fingertips. And then we'll straighten out our left leg and then reach our left hand forward and drop it down, coming into triangle pose. So sliding my left hand down my left leg, reaching up to the sky with my right arm, sending my gaze up to my right hand. And then I'm going to bring the right hand down to the mat, coming back into runner's lunge. Both hands are back on the mat now, framing my left foot. And then send the left foot back to meet the right, coming back into plank pose. And then slowly lowering down, knees, chest, chin, chaturanga. This time we're going to have our hands below our shoulders, tops of our feet really snug in the mat. We're going to come into up dog. So keeping our elbows tucked to our sides, we're going to push, extending our arms all the way up, bringing our thighs and our pelvic off the mat to up dog. We'll flip our toes and then reach our hip up to the sky for downward dog. So we flipped our toes so that our toes are on the mat instead of the tops of our feet. And we're in downward dog again. And we'll slowly, taking baby steps, taking your time, walk your feet all the way up to your hands. Coming into forward fold. Lift your hands to your shins, half forward fold, straightening out your back. And then hands back down on the mat, bending your knees, keeping your knees behind your big toes. We're gonna lift our arms, come into chair pose, and then come back up to mountain pose. Palms come together, palms come to heart center. And we'll take a few deep breaths here. All right, ready to go on the other side now? Sweeping our hands all the way up overhead and keeping our feet about hip width apart. We're gonna drop our hips down, coming into chair pose. Knees are behind our toes, navel tucked to the spine. And then bringing our hands down to the mat. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins, half forward fold. And then hands back down to the mat and extend both feet to the back of the mat, coming into plank pose. And navel's tucked to the spine. And you can lower down either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows close to your sides. And we're gonna lift our chin, chest, and hands off the mat for baby cobra. And then placing our hands down, tucking our toes under, This one really requires a push, lifting our hips up to the sky, coming into downward dog. And we'll pedal out here for a few moments. And then bringing our right knee to our right elbow, pushing off with our left foot, tucking our navel to our spine, and then back again, downward dog, pedal out. And then our right knee to our right elbow, pushing off with the left foot, and then back to downward dog. Pedal out for a few moments, taking some nice breaths as you go. And then we're going to bring our right foot between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. So inhale, lifting the right leg, bringing it between our hands, coming into runner's lunge. Pivoting our back foot down. We're going to push down in our front foot, coming up to warrior one. Again, you can keep your chest focused on the corner, left corner of your mat, or if you'd like to twist just a little bit, keeping your torso and chest open to the front of the mat. Feels what's comfortable for you. This is a flexibility move. So inhale, sweeping our hands up overhead, creating a nice gentle back bend. And then bringing our hands back down to the mat. Sending our right foot back to the left foot, coming back to plank pose. Navel's tucked to the spine, lowering down, chaturanga, knees, chest, chin. Keeping our hands below your shoulders, elbows tucked in. Lifting your chin and chest up, gently pushing into your hands, coming up into cobra. Tucking your back toes under, lifting your hips up into downward dog. And pedal out here for a moment. And then we're going to lift our right leg up to three-legged dog. So just send it up into the sky behind you. And then we're going to bend the knee and bring it between our hands. Well, not quite, but close enough. And adjust, coming back into runner's lunge. And once we're there, we're going to pivot the back heel down, come into warrior two. So swinging your arms up and over. Check your alignment, your knee over your ankle, able to see your big toe. Chest is open to the long side of the mat. Gently turn and look at your right fingertips. And then we'll straighten out our front leg, reach forward, and then slide our hand down to our right leg and sliding that down to the foot or the mat, sending our gaze up to our left hand for triangle pose. And then bringing our left hand down to the mat, pivoting so that we're back into runner's lunge. And we'll send our right foot back to our left foot, coming back into plank pose. And then we'll knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga down to the mat. And this one we're going to do the up dog again. So keeping your hands right below your shoulders, the tops of your feet nice and snug in the mat. You're going to keep your elbows tucked to the side, extending your arms all the way, bringing your torso and legs off the mat. And then taking your toes and bringing them onto the front of the mat, reaching your hips up to the sky, coming back into downward dog, and pedal out here. And then very slowly, baby steps, taking your time, walking your way back to your hands, to forward fold. And have your feet about hip width apart. We'll bring our hands to our shins, half forward fold, nice flat back. Then bring our hands back down to the mat, bending our knees, keeping our knees behind our big toe. We're going to send our arms up, sweeping up to chair pose, and then all the way up to mountain pose. Hands come together, hands come to heart center. We're talking once about having sweaty yoga versus stretching yoga, and this one was a sweaty yoga for me. So we're going to take our pinky toes right to the edges of the mat, angling our heels in at 45 degrees, hands at heart center, lowering our hips down toward the mat, opening up our knees, bringing our torso between our knees, the elbows of our arms are nice and snug on the inside of the knees for wide-legged squat. And you can slide your Anjali Mudra down toward the mat, creating a little bit more stretch. Nice hip opener. And then we'll bring our seat down to the mat, come into staff pose. And our toes are flexed up to the sky. I might tuck a little bit of a blanket underneath because my floors are so old and warped that I feel like I'm going downhill a lot of times here. And then we're going to bring our knees so that their feet are on the floor, knees are up toward the sky. And then tucking our hands behind our knees, opening up our chest, kind of rolling our shoulders back so we know we have a nice straight spine. We're going to, maybe I can't do that with a blanket. Bring our feet up off the floor, and we'll do some boats here. So you can keep your hands tucked here and then release them, bringing them alongside of your legs and then bringing them back. And continue doing that for a few times. Navel's tucked to your spine. This is really good core work. And if you like a little bit more adventure on this one, you can extend your legs as you send your arms away from underneath your knees. So try to do a full boat from half boat. Here's half boat and semi full boat. Still working on it. Just a couple more. 3, 2, 1. And then bringing your feet back down to the mat. We'll roll down. I like to do the express method in this one. Rolling down, knees to chest. Give them a nice hug. And then rock back and forth, giving your lower back a nice massage. We'll do a few rowboats since we're doing boats. We're placing your hands on the tops of your knees and we extend our arms fully, sending our knees down toward the front of the mat. And then opening up our knees to each side. Soles of our feet come together. Love that part. And then guiding our knees back toward our shoulders. And then closing the knees over our chest, giving them a nice hug. We'll do that a couple more times. Extend our arms fully. Opening up our knees to each side. Soles of the feet come together. Guiding our knees all the way up toward our shoulders. And then closing our knees over our chest. Nice hug. And one last time, extending our knees down to the bottom of the mat. Opening up the knees to each side, soles of our feet, soles of my toes come together. Knees are guided back up toward our shoulders. And the knees are closed over our chest and a nice hug. And then we'll send our arms out to shoulder height, sending them out to each side. On the exhale, drop your knees over to the right side. Supine twist, guiding your eyes over to your left fingertips. And then inhale, bringing your gaze back up toward the sky. Inhale, lifting your knees back up. And we'll do, actually it's the recline twist onto the other side. So dropping your knees to the left. And then slowly, gently sending your gaze to your right fingertips. And then gently inhale, bringing your gaze back to the sky. And then inhale, lifting your legs back to center. And then extending your feet down to the bottom of the mat to each corner. Preparing for Shavasana. Letting your feet just flop open. Relaxing your muscles and your bones into the mat. Having your arms with your palms facing up so your shoulder blades are nice and snug in the mat. And just let everything relax. Maybe take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, just relax. And do that 3 times or 2 more times, and just see if you're able to relax even further than what you thought you were. This morning's poem I have for you is by Mary Oliver, and it's titled Starlings in Winter. Clunky and noisy, but with stars in their black feathers, they spring from the telephone wire, and instantly they are acrobats in the freezing wind and now in the theater of air. They swing over buildings, dipping and rising. They float like one stippled star that opens, becomes for a moment fragmented, then closes again. And you watch and you try, but you simply can't imagine how they do it. With no articulated instruction, no pause, only the silent confirmation that they are in this noble thing, this wheel of many parts that can rise and spin over and over again, full of gorgeous life. Ah, world, what lessons you prepare for us, even in the leafless winter, even in the ashy city. I am thinking now of grief and of getting past it. I feel my boots trying to leave the ground. I feel my heart pumping hard. I want to think again of dangerous and noble things. I want to be light and frolicsome. I want to be improbable, beautiful, and afraid of nothing, as though I had wings.